don't know how far down to push it. I don't have intuitions that single cells are likely to be conscious, uh, but they might be, and again, it could be unfalsifiable. Um, but as far as babies not being conscious, or you don't become conscious until you can recognize yourself in a mirror, or you have a conversation, or treat other people. First of all, babies treat other people as others far earlier than we have traditionally given them credit for, and they certainly do it before they have language, right? So it's got to precede language to some degree, and I mean you can interrogate this for yourself because you can put yourself in various states that are rather obviously not linguistic. The meditation allows you to do this. You can certainly do it with psychedelics, where it's just your capacity for language has been obliterated, and yet you're all too conscious. In fact, uh, I think you could make a stronger argument for things running the other way, that there's something about language and conceptual thought that is eliminative of conscious experience. That we are potentially much more conscious of data, sense data, and everything else than we tend to be, and we have trimmed it down based on how we have acquired concepts. And so, like when I walk into a room like this, I know I'm walking into a room. I have certain expectations of what is in a room. I would be very surprised to see, wild animals in here, or a waterfall, or I mean, so, there are things I'm not expecting, but I can know I'm not expecting them, or I'm expecting their absence because of my capacity to be surprised once I walk into a room and I see a live gorilla or whatever. So there's structure there that we have put in place based on all of our conceptual learning and language learning, and it causes us not to. I mean, one of the things that happens when you take psychedelics and you just look as though for the first time at anything, it becomes incredibly overloaded with. It can become overloaded with meaning and just the torrents of sense data that are coming in even the most ordinary circumstances can become overwhelming for people. And that tends to just obliterate one's capacity to capture any of it linguistically. And as you're coming down, right? Have you done psychedelics? Have you ever done acid or mushrooms?
Not acid, mushroom, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
And also edibles, but there's some psychedelic properties to them.
Right.
But yeah, mushrooms several times, and always had an incredible experience. It exactly the kind of experience you're referring to, which is, if it's true that language constrains our experience, it felt like I was removing some of the constraints.
Right.
Because even just the most basic things were beautiful in a way that I wasn't able to appreciate previously, like trees and nature and so on.
Yeah. And the experience of coming down is an experience of encountering the futility of capturing what you just saw a moment ago in words, right? Like especially if any part of your self concept and your ego program is to be able to capture things in words. I mean, if you're a writer, or a poet, or a scientist, or someone who wants to just encapsulate the profundity of what just happened, the total fatuousness of that enterprise, when you have taken a whopping dose of psychedelics, and you begin to even gesture at describing it to yourself, so that you could describe it to others. It's like trying to, thread a needle using your elbows. I mean, it's like you're trying something that can't. It's like the mere gesture proves its impossibility, and it's so yeah. So that, I mean, that for me, that suggests, just empirically on the first person side, that it's possible to put yourself in a condition where it's clearly not about language structuring your experience, and you're having much more experience than you tend to. So it's the primacy of language is primary for some things, but uh, it's certainly primary for certain kinds of concepts and certain kinds of semantic understandings of the world. But it's it's clearly more to mind than the conversation we're having with ourselves or that we can have with others.